Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world with me, Deepika, coming up in the next 1 hour. The world will drive EVs that would say made in India, says Prime Minister Modi as he flags off Maruti Suzuki's first electric vehicle e-Vitara in Gujarat. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to visit Japan and China to attend the 15th India-Japan Annual Summit, also will attend the SCO Summit in China. Massive boost to Indian Navy firepower as it is set to induct state-of-the-art stealth frigates INS Udaygiri and Himgiri in Vishakhapatnam. And US President Donald Trump tells South Korean President he wants to meet Kim Jong-un as North Korea denounces US-South Korea joint military drills. Good afternoon to all the viewers joining us at this afternoon broadcast. To begin with the latest. Well, today is a special day in India's quest for self-reliance and being a hub for green mobility. At the program in Gujarat's Hansalpur, Prime Minister Narendra Modi today inaugurated and flagged off e-Vitara, Suzuki's first global strategic battery electric vehicle. The Made in India BEVs will now be exported to more than other 100 countries, including advanced markets such as Europe and Japan. Now, with this milestone, India will now serve as Suzuki's global manufacturing hub for electric vehicles. Further, taking large strides towards becoming Atmanirbhar or self-reliant in the field of green energy, Prime Minister Narendra Modi also inaugurated the next phase of India's battery ecosystem, marking the commencement of local production of hybrid battery electrodes at TDS lithium-ion battery plant in Gujarat. The plant, which is a joint venture of Toshiba, Denso and Suzuki, will boost domestic manufacturing and clean energy innovation. Now, this development ensures that more than 80% of the battery value will now be manufactured within India. Later, addressing a program in Hansalpur, Prime Minister Modi stressed that Made in India electric vehicles are now driving onto the global stage, saying it reflects our nation's growing strength in green mobility. He further added that the world will now drive EVs that say Made in India. Take a listen.
सुजुकी जापान भारत में मैन्युफैक्चरिंग कर रही है और जो गाड़ियां बन रही है वो वापस जापान को एक्सपोर्ट की जा रही है। ये जापान और भारत के रिश्तों की मजबूती तो है ही, भारत को लेकर ग्लोबल कंपनियों के भरोसे को भी ये आपके सामने प्रस्तुत करता है। एक तरह से मारुति सुजुकी जैसी कंपनियां मेक इन इंडिया की ब्रांड एम्बेसडर बन चुकी है। लगातार 4 साल से मारुति भारत की सबसे बड़ी कार एक्सपोर्टर है। अब आज से ईवी एक्सपोर्ट को भी उसी स्केल पर ले जाने की शुरुआत हो रही है। अब दुनिया के दर्जनों देशों में जो ईवी चलेगी उसमें लिखा होगा मेड इन इंडिया।
Prime Minister also said that Make in India initiative has created a favorable environment for both global and domestic manufacturers.
स्वदेशी ये हमारा जीवन मंत्र बनना चाहिए दोस्तों। गर्व से स्वदेशी की तरफ चल पड़ो। और यहां जापान के द्वारा जो चीजें बन रही है ना, ये भी स्वदेशी है। मेरी स्वदेशी की व्याख्या बहुत सिंपल है। पैसा किसका लगता है उससे मुझे कोई लेना देना नहीं है। वो डॉलर है, पाउंड है, वो करेंसी काली है, गोरी है, मुझे कोई लेना देना नहीं। लेकिन जो प्रोडक्शन है उसमें पसीना मेरे देशवासियों का होगा। पैसा किसी का, पसीना हमारा। जो प्रोडक्शन होगा उसमें महक मेरी देश की मिट्टी की होगी, मेरी भारत मां की होगी। इस भाव के साथ आप मेरे साथ चलिए दोस्तों। 2047 में हम ऐसा हिंदुस्तान बनाएंगे, आपकी आने वाली अनेक पीढ़ियां आपके इस त्याग का गर्व करेगी, आपके इस योगदान का गर्व करेगी।
And to get you more on this with a rounded perspective, I am joined by Professor Manoj Chaudhary, who is the Vice Chancellor of Gati Shakti Vishwavidyalaya. Namaskar, sir. Thank you so much for joining us here. Now, batteries were earlier imported in the country, but today, India is all set to gain an important spot as the exporter, and that too in the rapidly flourishing EV market. Help us understand how this will give a push not only to self-reliant India, but also contribute to the ecosystem with their EV venture and add to clean and green energy and mobility.
Yeah, thank you for helping me join this conversation. First of all, as we know that fossil fuels are limited, and we all need to work upon reducing pollution, and therefore we have to move towards transportation systems that help us achieve these objectives. Towards this, the electric vehicles are a very important part. In other segments also, as we know, in railways also, in Indian Railways has already achieved more than 99% electrification. For India's electric push, as we know, through the faster adoption and manufacturing of electric vehicles, we have set up a target of achieving 30% of electric vehicles by 2030. But if we have to move towards that, some of the critical components of the EV ecosystem we have to work on. One of the very, very important component of electric vehicle ecosystem are batteries, and that is where today's inauguration that has happened for the electrical vehicle battery part and the electrolyte part, actually electrode part, has become absolutely critical. As we know, in batteries there are several important aspects. There are important aspects of the raw materials that are needed on how we will do the cell manufacturing and so on. So for lithium-ion batteries, we also need to have adequate amount of lithium available. So because battery is such an integral part of the electric vehicle, and therefore, as Honorable Prime Minister also mentioned, that India is moving towards already a goal that in domestic value addition or domestic value in the electrical vehicle battery ecosystem is reaching close to 80%. And if you have to really think of that, then the Make in India and Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan, wherein substantial amount of value addition happens domestically through the manufacturing operations.
And also, Professor Chaudhary, Swadeshi or Make in India gets a major push in the country, especially ahead of Donald Trump's fresh tariff move. How is this, going to help us in entering the top 3 economies?
With or without the tariff move, India has been progressing and one of the fastest growing economy in the world, and we are set to grow at a rate of approximately 6.5% year after year to become Viksit Bharat by 2047. Towards that, there are several important aspects that India has already done. For example, a focus on infrastructure in physical infrastructure or digital or social infrastructure, a focus on manufacturing. Today, the Prime Minister also highlighted that electronics manufacturing in India has grown by 500%, mobile manufacturing has grown by 2700%. There has been a focus on the defense manufacturing and Atmanirbharta that we also saw a demonstration through Operation Sindhu. In semiconductor manufacturing, 10 of the units are getting set up in India, which is also a critical part for automotives. Today's automotives, roughly 30 to 35% of the cost is by electronics and semiconductor components. And therefore, through all these aspects, we are ensuring that Make in India initiative that has been done will lead to self-reliance. One of the important route to Viksit Bharat shall be of how much we produce in India and how much we export in India. We want to ensure that the imports are minimized, and we want to ensure that exports are maximized. Towards that, the manufacturing is very important. Manufacturer sells, create jobs, which is one of the important aspects. And the Prime Minister also mentioned today India has all the Ds. India has demand, India has development, India has democracy, India has demography. And therefore, India is currently rightly positioned with or without Trump tariff that is currently being discussed. We have to always think about, irrespective of the geopolitical situation, how our country can rapidly accelerate. And based on the reform, perform, and transform mindset of the government in the last 11 years, in every sector, the government has progressed very, very rapidly, and the country is really seeing the benefits already of the policies that have been implemented by the government.
Also, Prime Minister Modi announced that plug-and-play infrastructure will be created and product-linked incentive benefits will also be extended to the manufacturers. And he also stressed about the flourishing ties between India and Japan, and especially in the automobile sector. How this collaboration will open more job opportunities for both the countries.
So, of course, when we are pushing strongly for the clean energy and for the electric vehicles, this thing becomes very, very important. Japan has already been a very good partner, even for the bullet train project that we are currently doing in the railway. Japan has been a very strong partner. Since many decades, Prime Minister Modi also highlighted that we have very strong relationship between Japan and us. And Japan has been known to be a strong player in both automotive as well as electronics. And in the growing automotive manufacturing, for example, India has already been progressing very rapidly, and today's e-Vitara that Maruti Suzuki has highlighted, that it will be exported to 100 countries. So with that, and particularly also important related to critical minerals mission, that also the Honorable Prime Minister highlighted, that with that, the Japan-Indo collaboration should result into a new infrastructure development. And when infrastructure development happens, of course, a large amount of jobs will be created. Both infrastructure sector and manufacturing sector are the sectors where most of the new jobs will be created.
And also, when we talk about the international developments from Japan to India, we also have to consider that fact that how Gujarat is growing, and especially it has grown in the past 10 to 12 years. It all began with the gift city, and now they have these major hubs. How do you see this developmental progress for the state of Gujarat itself?
Gujarat has focused very significantly on the infrastructure development. So, for example, as you know, Ministry of Commerce and Industry, their DPIIT department for industry and inter-trade, they conduct a survey every year to check the logistics efficiency across different states. And Gujarat has always been coming at the top. If you look whether the Delhi-Mumbai Expressway passing through Gujarat, if you look at the first bullet train project between Ahmedabad to Mumbai, if you look at dedicated freight corridor, if you look at different important sector-specific institutions like Gati Shakti Vishwavidyalaya, National Forensic Science University, Rashtriya Raksha University. So there has been a significant focus in Gujarat. Even in automotive manufacturing, it has been there. Gujarat is one of the leading states as far as solar energy is concerned. So today, as you know, Government of India for One Earth, One Family, One Future had already set up a target that by 2030, we shall have 500 gigawatts of renewable energy. We are already close to 230 gigawatt of energy, and out of which solar and wind are playing an important part. And also for the solar energy, Gujarat is one of the leading states. So if you look at, for example, maritime sector, Deen Dayal port in Gujarat at Kandla caters to almost 23-25% of the international trade. So Gujarat, having one of the largest coastline, is also biggest promoter of the sustainable fuel and hydrogen. If you look in the aviation sector, today Tata Advanced Systems Limited and Airbus are setting up India's first private aircraft manufacturing facility for C-295 military transport aircraft. So across all aspects, based on the focus of simplification of rules, single window clearances, good investment climate that has been produced in Gujarat, Viksit Gujarat shall definitely make a strong foundation for Viksit Bharat.
All right. Thank you so much, Professor Chaudhary, for joining us and bringing us a rounded perspective on this very huge development for not only India, but for Japan as well.
Thank you.
And time to take a quick and short break, but still to come on the other side. Indian Air Force to retire its iconic MiG-21 fighter aircraft in September this year. CDS calls for swift and decisive joint responses across domains at Ransampath. And after the break, we'll get to a special report on how Maharashtra is gearing up for Ganesh Mahotsav 2025.
Going green isn't just about cutting back, whether it is how we power our homes to the careers that we chase. There is always a better alternative that we need to think of.
We run programs that teach students the hardcore science that they need to solve environmental and climate change problems, but also how to connect with society.
Solar Rooftop's biggest strength is it empowers individuals to start earning money based on their asset, which is the house.
We introduced solar-powered street lights, cutting consumption by 5%, making us more energy independent.
Jharkhand will mesmerize you with majestic nature, rich heritage and colorful culture.
Welcome back after that short break. You're watching DD India News Hour. Well, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be undertaking Japan and China visit from Thursday to participate in key summits. Visiting at the invitation of Japanese counterpart Shigeru Ishiba, this will be Prime Minister Modi's 8th visit to Japan and the first summit with Ishiba. During his 2-day visit to Japan, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will attend the 15th India-Japan Annual Summit, besides reviewing the special strategic and global partnership with his counterpart. They will also discuss issues of regional and global importance.
Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi is embarking on an official visit to Japan on the evening of 28th August. He will be in Japan on the 29th and the 30th of August for holding the 15th India-Japan Annual Summit with the Prime Minister of Japan, His Excellency Shigeru Ishiba. This is a significant visit for several reasons. It's Prime Minister Modi's first annual summit with Prime Minister Ishiba. It is also his first standalone visit to Japan in nearly 7 years. He last visited for the annual summit in 2018. Since then, of course, he has visited Japan, but that has been for multilateral engagements and other ceremonial events. So this will be a visit that will be fully dedicated to the bilateral agenda between India and Japan. This is also Prime Minister's 8th visit to Japan since he took office in 2014 and reflects the very high priority that this particular relationship has foreign relations.
In the second leg of his visit, at the invitation of the Chinese President Xi Jinping, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be in China from 31st of August till the 1st of September to attend the SCO summit in Tianjin. On the sidelines of the summit, Prime Minister is expected to hold bilateral meetings with several leaders attending the summit. India Secretary West Tanmay Lal told the media persons about the details. Take a listen.
The SCO was established with the primary goal of countering 3 evils of terrorism, separatism and extremism, which continue to remain a challenge. Today, as a regional platform, there is a broader range of sectors of cooperation among the SCO members. The SCO comprises 10 members. In addition to India, they include Belarus, China, Iran, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Pakistan, Russia, Tajikistan and Uzbekistan. There are a number of dialogue partners and observers also. India has been a member of the SCO since 2017 and earlier it was an observer since 2005. During the period of its membership, India has held the chair of the SCO Council of Heads of Government in 2020 and of the SCO Council of Heads of State during 2022-2023. The program elements for the upcoming 25th SCO Summit in Tianjin include a welcome banquet dinner in the evening of 31st August, and the main summit will be held on the next day, Monday, 1st September. And in addition to this, Prime Minister is expected to hold some bilateral meetings on the sidelines of the SCO Summit.
Moving on. Indian Navy is set to commission the latest state-of-the-art Project 17A multi-mission stealth frigates Udaygiri and Himgiri at Visakhapatnam Naval Base on Tuesday. India's Defence Minister Rajnath Singh will preside over the ceremony. Well, this will be the first occasion when two frontline surface combatants constructed at two different shipyards will be commissioned simultaneously, underscoring the growing maritime importance of India's eastern seaboard. Both these vessels incorporate significant improvements in design, stealth, weapon and sensor systems and are capable of executing full spectrum of maritime missions in blue water conditions. In keeping with the Navy's tradition of reviving names of illustrious predecessors, both the frigates are named after earlier INS Udaygiri and INS Himgiri that served the nation with distinction for over 30 years before being decommissioned. The commissioning of Udaygiri and Himgiri will augment the Navy's combat readiness and reaffirm India's resolve to achieve self-reliance in warship design and construction. Upon commissioning, the two frigates will join the Eastern Fleet, strengthening India's ability to safeguard its maritime interests across the Indian Ocean region. The Indian Air Force is all set to retire its iconic MiG-21 fighter aircraft in September this year. The farewell ceremony will be held at Chandigarh Air Base, where the 23rd Squadron, popularly known as Panthers, will fly the jet for the last time. Accompanied by the Indian Air Force Chief A.P. Singh, DD India correspondent Vishal Baristu travelled to the Naval Air Base near Pakistan border to bring you this exclusive report. Take a look.
The Indian Air Force Chief and Squadron Leader Priya is all set for the skies. Air Chief Marshal Amarpreet Singh closely inspecting the aircraft before sitting in the cockpit. Now the roaring MiG is on the runway, eager to scare the enemy across the border.
For the last 6 decades, this Russian beauty has been the backbone of Indian Air Force. It has skills that goes up to F-16 from Pakistan. And now it's the time to say goodbye to MiG-21. It would be replaced by our own Tejas.
The phasing out of the MiG-21 fleet is part of the Indian Air Force's self-reliance and modernization plans. It will be replaced by the indigenously developed Tejas Mark 1A fighter aircraft.
I think it is going to be one aircraft which is going to be missed by people who have flown it earlier. But yes, everything has time and place. Now we have to move on because this technology is old. It's very difficult to maintain this technology now. So we've decided to now call it a day for this aircraft and move on to the new platforms like the Tejas Mark 2. Rafales have come in, Su-30s are already operating. So these platforms will take this place.
The departure of MiG-21 is the end of an era for the Indian Air Force. Since its induction in 1963, the MiG-21 has served India for more than 6 decades.
This is MiG-21, the first supersonic fighter jet of Indian Air Force. Soon it's going to be history. So let's talk about its glorious past, and I have with me Wing Commander Jaideep Singh, who himself has flown this beautiful fighter jet. How's the feeling? Because soon it would be history.
The MiG-21, although a high-speed supersonic, it was designed for shooting down the B-52 bomber at high altitudes. In fact, the pilots wore a pressure suit when it was initially inducted. But the Indian Air Force utilized the MiG-21s in all the roles, including ground attack roles.
This aircraft has been an important weapon for the Indian Air Force. This fighter aircraft has given a tough time to the enemy in all major wars, including the 1965 and 1971 wars with Pakistan, the 1999 Kargil War, and the 2019 Balakot airstrikes. Not only this, MiG-21 was also deployed on the operational duties during Operation Sindoor against Pakistan. Vishal Baristu's exclusive report for DD India.
India's Chief of Defence Staff, General Anil Chauhan, highlighted the ascendancy of technology over strategy, delivering the keynote address at Ran Samvad 2025 in central Indian city of Mahau. The CDS said India is a peace-loving nation, but we cannot be pacifists. He also called for swift and decisive joint responses across domains, enabled by Atmanirbharta in defence and integrated logistics.
India has always stood on the side of peace. We are a peace-loving nation, but don't mistake, we cannot be pacifists. I think peace without power is utopian. As a Viksit Bharat, we also need to be Shashakt, Surakshit and Atmanirbhar, not only in technologies but also in ideas and also in practice. Hence, there is a need to increase awareness on all segments of our society on doctrinal and conceptual aspects, that's the academic pursuits of how war is fought, and practical and actual war fighting techniques and tactics.
Now, 62 years old, retired DIG of the Border Security Force, Rakesh Negi, has successfully summited Mount Yunam, which is 6,111 meters in the Lahaul region of India's Himachal Pradesh. Negi achieved the extraordinary feat in around 2 days with sheer resilience and determination. These achievements underscores the ethos of BSF and a testament of BSF veteran perseverance. And now let's take a look at other stories making news around the country in brief. Aiming to steer youth away from drug addiction, Chief Minister of Haryana, Naib Singh Saini, along with other leaders, reached Haryana Legislative Assembly by bicycle. The Chief Minister emphasized on pollution-free initiatives such as promoting cycling to create awareness. Additionally, the government also plans to provide jobs to families affected by past tragedies. Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh, Yogi Adityanath, inaugurated Rozgar Mahakumbh 2025 in Lucknow on Tuesday. The 3-day-long event aims to provide job opportunities to the youth of the state by connecting them to industry giants. Chief Minister Yogi also distributed appointment letters to the newly selected youth. The 12th convocation ceremony of the Indian Institute of Technology, Patna, was held on Tuesday with Union Minister of Education, Dharmendra Pradhan, as the chief guest. During the event, degrees were conferred to undergraduate, postgraduate and doctoral students. Maharashtra prepares for one of its grandest celebrations, Ganesh Chaturthi. The city of Mumbai has already transformed itself for the grand arrival of Lord Ganesha. Streets have come alive with colors, chants and the sounds of drums as people get ready to welcome their beloved Papa.
The city of Mumbai is glowing with devotion. Decorations are up, lights are strung and pandals have risen high in every corner. The whole city is ready to welcome its most beloved guest, Bappa. Idol makers have almost completed deliveries of idols, with many families opting for eco-friendly clay idols this year. Markets are buzzing with shoppers buying flowers, decorative items, sweets and puja materials. Pune, Nagpur, Nashik and other cities are also witnessing similar festive fervour. Cultural programs, bhajan mandalis and social awareness campaigns have been lined up by the mandals. The famous Lal Baghcha Raja in Mumbai has already attracted devotees with an early glimpse of the idol. Mumbai police has put in place extensive security measures with additional deployment of personnel, CCTV surveillance and traffic diversions. With preparations now in place, Maharashtra is ready to celebrate Ganesh Chaturthi with devotion, grandeur and renewed emphasis on eco-friendly practices. Shyama Mishra's report, TD India.
Time to take a short break, but still to come on the other side. Israeli Security Cabinet to meet on Tuesday. Discussion on renewed negotiations on the agenda. Australia expels Iran's ambassador, accusing the country of being behind anti-Semitic arson attacks.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
Welcome back after that short break. You're watching DD India News Hour. Time to quickly recap the top headlines of the hour. World will drive EVs that would say Made in India, says Prime Minister Modi as he flags off Maruti Suzuki's first electric vehicle, e-Vitara, in Gujarat. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to visit Japan and China to attend 15th India-Japan Annual Summit, also will attend SCO Summit. Massive boost to Indian Navy firepower as it is set to induct state-of-the-art stealth frigates INS Udaygiri and Himgiri in Visakhapatnam. Well, nuclear talks between Iran and Britain, France and Germany will be held on Tuesday in Geneva, marking the second such meeting since Iran's mid-June 12-day conflict with Israel and subsequent US strikes on Tehran's nuclear facilities. It comes after Iran suspended cooperation with the United Nations nuclear watchdog, with Tehran pointing to the International Atomic Energy Agency's failure to condemn Israeli and US strikes on its nuclear facilities. The previous round of talks was held in Istanbul on the 25th of July. The European trio have threatened to trigger a snapback mechanism under the 2015 nuclear deal, which would reimpose UN sanctions that were lifted under the agreement unless Iran agrees to curb its uranium enrichment and restore cooperation with IAEA inspectors. Iran disputes the legality of invoking the clause, accusing the Europeans of not honouring their commitments under the accord. Britain, France and Germany, along with China, Russia and the United States, reached an agreement with Iran in 2015 under a deal formally called the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, or JCPOA. The deal provided Iran with sanctions relief in exchange for curbs on its nuclear program to guarantee that Tehran could not develop a nuclear weapon, something it has always denied wanting to do so. The Israeli Security Cabinet will meet on Tuesday evening in Jerusalem to discuss renewed negotiations for a ceasefire and hostage release deal. The Security Cabinet approved in early August a plan for the military to take over Gaza City, but Tuesday's meeting is expected to focus on resuming negotiations for a ceasefire and the release of hostages still being held in the Palestinian territory. Now, last week, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu had ordered immediate talks on the release of all remaining captives in Gaza. That came days after Hamas said it had accepted a new ceasefire proposal put forward by mediators that would see the staggered release of hostages over an initial 60-day period in exchange for Palestinian prisoners held by Israel. Australia expelled Iran's ambassador on Tuesday, accusing the country of being behind anti-Semitic arson attacks in Melbourne and Sydney. Now, since the Israel-Gaza conflict began in October 2023, Australian homes, schools and synagogues and vehicles have been targeted in anti-Semitic vandalism and arson. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese said intelligence services reached the deeply disturbing conclusion that Iran directed at least 2 anti-Semitic attacks. It marks the first time Australia has expelled an ambassador since World War II.
This is the case that this is the most serious response that any Australian government has given. We don't expel an ambassador lightly because of the consequences of that, which aren't obviously all upside. But we do think that it is an appropriate response given the extraordinary behaviour and the direct link that they've been able to draw through a direct chain.
Australia declared Iranian ambassador Ahmad Sadeqchi person non grata and ordered him and 3 other officials to leave the country within 7 days. Australia also withdrew its own ambassador to Iran and suspended the embassy's operations in Tehran. Australia's opposition leader Susan Lee said that she supported the government's action.
These acts of egregious foreign interference are brazen attempts to cleave apart our social cohesion, to turn neighbour against neighbour and Australian against Australian. I therefore want to make it abundantly clear on behalf of the coalition that while we sit opposite from the government in this chamber, we are entirely united behind the measures announced today to expel the Iranian ambassador and list the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps as a terrorist organisation.
US President Donald Trump suggested that Russian President Vladimir Putin is reluctant to meet Ukrainian President Zelensky because he does not like him. Speaking to the reporters during a meeting with South Korean President Lee Jae-myung, Trump warned that there could be consequences if Putin and Zelensky do not meet. He said that the two leaders should meet and he would see what happens over the next week or two before stepping in.
Yeah, there could be very big consequences, but we'll see what happens. There might be very big consequences because this is something that has to end. So we'll see what happens over the next week or two. And at that point, I'll step in very strongly. And if I have to be there, I'll be there. And we'll either have a deal or we won't.
Trump also stated that Ukraine conflict had been much more difficult to resolve than he earlier believed. His comments came a day after Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov announced that Putin was open to talks with Ukraine but raised doubts over Zelensky's legitimacy. He added that while Zelensky remained the de facto head of the Ukrainian regime, the issue of who would sign any agreement was a very serious one. Meanwhile, Trump, still insisting that progress can be made, offered his own metaphor, and I quote him, "It takes two to tango. I always say, and they should meet, I think, before I have a meeting and probably close the deal," unquote. Also, US President Donald Trump confirmed on Monday that he had talked to Russian counterpart Putin since meeting in Washington last week with Ukraine's Volodymyr Zelensky and the European leaders. Trump was last known to have spoken to Putin on 18th of August when he interrupted his talks with Zelensky and the Europeans at the White House to call the Russians leader. Meanwhile, on Monday, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky rejected Russia's peace proposals as lacking real concessions during a meeting with German Vice Chancellor Lars Klingbeil in Kyiv. Klingbeil also expressed skepticism over Putin's intentions, warning that the Russian leader may not be seeking a serious peace, and reaffirmed Germany's commitment to bolstering Ukrainians' military strength.
Що стосується поступок Росії, мені про це невідомо. Я не вважаю ті речі, які звучали з російської сторони, що вони готові не захоплювати далі Україну, є поступки.
Meanwhile, Zelensky also held talks with US envoy Keith Kellogg on Monday. The two leaders discussed exerting pressure on Russia to hold real talks on ending the conflict. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky on Tuesday thanked Prime Minister Narendra Modi for extending warm greetings on Ukraine's Independence Day. Zelensky in a social media post said, and I quote him here, "Thank you, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, for the warm greetings on Ukraine's Independence Day. We appreciate India's dedication to peace and dialogue. Now, as the entire world strives to end this horrible war with dignity and lasting peace, we count on India's contribution." He further wrote, "Every decision that strengthens diplomacy leads to better security, not only in Europe, but also in the Indo-Pacific and beyond," unquote. Prime Minister Narendra Modi also extended his greetings to the people of Ukraine on the occasion of their Independence Day, highlighting India's commitment to peace. South Korea's President Lee Jae-myung arrived at the White House for what could have been a tense bilateral, as Donald Trump earlier shared a social media post questioning South Korea's political stability, but any prospect of a hostile Oval Office meeting evaporated after Lee heaped praise onto the US president, lauding the decor, beseeching Trump to continue to help with Korean peace efforts, and even suggesting a Trump Tower in North Korea. Instead, the leaders focused on deepening economic ties. The North Korean leader Kim Jong-un was mentioned repeatedly, with Trump saying he has a great relationship with the dictator.
Great relationship with Kim Jong-un. I hope it stays that way. I think it will. I have a very good relationship. I understand him. I spent a lot of free time with him, talking about things that we probably aren't supposed to talk about. And, you know, I get along with him really well. I think he has a country of great potential, tremendous potential.
Is it possible you meet him this year or maybe next year?
Well, I'm meeting a lot of people. I mean, it's hard to say that, but I'd like to meet him this year.
The South Korean leader lightheartedly added that he looked forward to Trump constructing a Trump Tower in Pyongyang. Trump in return praised Lee, saying he was doing a much better job than his predecessors in handling the relations with the North. The cordial display showed how world leaders are taking notes from previous meetings between Trump and heads of the state, who've largely chosen the route of praise and adulation rather than confrontation as they seek favorable trade terms and continued military aid from Washington. While South Korean President Lee Jae-myung said that he and Donald Trump discussed modernizing the two countries' alliances during their summit talks, Lee also said South Korea would expand its defense budget to transform the country's military into a smart military that will prevail in future warfare. His comments at a forum at Washington's Center for Strategic and International Studies came after Lee and Trump held their first summit meeting.
트럼프 대통령과의 정상회담에서 한미 동맹을 안보 환경 변화에 발맞추어 더 호혜적이고 미래지향적으로 현대화해 나가자는데 뜻을 함께 모았습니다. 미국의 대한 방위 공약과 한미 연합 방위 태세는 철통같이 유지될 것입니다. 동시에 한국은 한반도의 안보를 지키는 데 있어 보다 주도적인 역할을 앞으로 해 나갈 것입니다.
North Korea said US-South Korea joint military drills proved Washington's intention to occupy the Korean peninsula and aim at its enemy countries in the region. In a televised message, First Vice Chief of the General Staff of the Korean People's Army, Kim Yong-bok, warned that the two nations of unpleasant situations if they continuously persist in the military rehearsal. The 11-day annual exercises called the Ulchi Freedom Shield started on the 18th of August and will be on a similar scale to 2024. US President Donald Trump on Monday said that he expects to visit China this year or shortly afterwards, noting that economic ties between the two countries have improved even as he kept the door open to steeper tariff. Talking to the reporters in White House, Trump said that China has to give US magnets or face 200% tariff.
Playing the cards, we have much bigger and better cards than they do. But with that being said, I think we have a great relationship. I spoke to President Xi fairly recently, and at some point, probably during this year or shortly thereafter, we'll go to China. And I think we're going to see a magnificent sight. It's a great country. We have a very strong relationship, Howard, I would say, economically with China now, getting much better. They have to give us magnets. If they don't give us magnets, then we have to charge them 200% tariff or something.
In Sri Lanka, security has been tightened around the Colombo Fort Magistrates Court as the hearing begins in the case against former President Ranil Wickremesinghe. Large numbers of police and special task force personnel have been deployed as crowds gathered in support of the former leader. Hundreds of his supporters, along with the members of the joint opposition, staged demonstrations near the court demanding his release. Moving on. Typhoon Kajiki caused widespread damage in central Vietnam on Tuesday. It killed at least 3 people while 10 others were injured. Authorities warned that heavy rains could cause flooding and landslides. The storm damaged nearly 7,000 homes, inundated nearly 29,000 hectares of rice plantings. More than 18,000 trees fell due to the typhoon. It also brought down over 300 electricity poles, causing widespread blackouts. Streets in the capital, Hanoi, were severely flooded as heavy rains fell on Tuesday morning, paralyzing traffic. After making landfall on Vietnam's north-central coast on Monday afternoon, Kajiki has since weakened into a tropical depression as it moved across to Laos on Tuesday morning. The country's weather agency warned that rain will continue in several parts of northern Vietnam, with some areas likely to get up to 150 millimeters in 6 hours, potentially causing flash floods and landslides. Before making landfall in Vietnam, Kachiki skirted the southern coast of China's Hainan Island on Sunday, forcing Sanya City on the island to close businesses and public transport. Taking cognizance of the cloudburst and sudden flash floods in Doda district of Jammu and Kashmir, Union Minister of State Dr. Jitendra Singh on his social media platform shared information about his conversation with District Development Commissioner Doda, Harvinder Singh, regarding the situation. Jammu and Kashmir's Doda district witnessed flash floods on Tuesday after a sudden cloudburst hit the city, damaging over 10 houses. This comes amid warnings of heavy to very heavy downpour in the state, also on orange alert for many districts. So far, no casualty has been reported. Time to take a short break, but still to come on the other side. Indo-German Chamber of Commerce organized the first industry dialogue conference on trade and cooperation. Indian Grandmaster Pragnananda beats Alireza to take joint lead in Sinquefield Cup. And Neymar to miss Brazil's final 2 World Cup qualifiers due to injury.
Going green isn't just about cutting back, whether it is how we power our homes to the careers that we chase. There is always a better alternative that we need to think of.
We run programs that teach students the hardcore science that they need to solve environmental and climate change problems, but also how to connect with society.
Solar Rooftop's biggest strength is it empowers individuals to start earning money based on their asset, which is the house.
We introduced solar-powered street lights, cutting consumption by 5%, making us more energy independent.
Welcome back after that short break. You're watching DD India News Hour. Now let's get you all the latest from the world of business. The Indo-German Chamber of Commerce in New Delhi organized its first industry dialogue conference in the capital on Tuesday. The event was attended by industry leaders and the members of the Indo-German business heads to drive better trade and cooperation between the two countries. On the sidelines of the event, Charge d'Affaires German Embassy in India, George Enzevela, spoke about a positive outcome on the India-EU free trade agreement likely by this year end. Take a listen.
These are U.S. tariffs, and so I would simply say that tariffs are obstacles to free trade wherever they are. Whether it's on the Indian side, whether it's on the European side, whether it's on the US side. So we would always be in favor of reducing tariffs to a minimum level.
He also spoke about the recent tariffs being imposed by the United States on India and the European Union and said that tariffs are not good for healthy relationship.
You know, not Germany is in the driver's seat with regard to the EU-India FTA. It is the European Union and the European Union Commission that is negotiating from the European side. But we are the signals we are getting are very positive. We hope that towards the year's end we will see these negotiations come to a fruitful result. The Prime Minister, the Honourable Prime Minister, and the President of the European Union Commission have indicated that they would like to see a finalization of this agreement by the end of 2025. And so we are hopeful that this will indeed happen.
Well, this weekend, it will be exactly 10 years that then German Chancellor Angela Merkel gave an important commitment to refugees coming to Germany, promising that the country would be able to integrate them. Lars Holte is with Deutsche Welle and joins me from Berlin. Lars, what can you tell us about that effort worked out?
Thanks for having me. Yes, it's 10 years ago this week that then Chancellor Angela Merkel said the sentence that would follow her for the rest of her time in office and is in fact still often quoted. Wir schaffen das. is what she said. Very loosely translated, we can do it. It became kind of a core slogan for Germany's Willkommenskultur, a culture of welcoming refugees, most of them from Syria, others from Afghanistan and Iraq. And what it meant was that despite many detractors, many people protesting the arrival of more and more refugees, that Germany would be able to take in those looking for a safe home, and that Germany would be able to house them, feed them, and maybe most importantly, put them to work and integrate them into society. Now, after 10 years have passed, it's time for a checkup. And it does look like Germany has been doing pretty well, actually, despite some obvious difficulties along the way. But today, and this might just be the most important number, 64% of refugees who arrived back then are actually working. Now compare that to the general German population with 70% in work, and we see that that's a pretty strong number.
All right. Thank you so much, Lars, for joining us and bringing us the latest. And now it's time to get you all the latest action from the world of sports, to begin with athletics. India's star javelin thrower Neeraj Chopra will return to action at the Diamond League final title in Zurich, Switzerland on Thursday. The double Olympic medalist will face stiff competition from formidable challengers like Anderson Peters and Julian Weber. Chopra, who skipped the last leg of the prestigious series in Brussels, had won the DL trophy in 2022 before finishing as the runners-up in 2023 and 24. The 27-year-old reigning world champion reached the coveted 90-meter mark at Doha leg in May with a throw of 90.23 meter, but had to settle for second place behind Germany's Weber. He then clinched the Paris leg in June with an effort of 88.16 meters. In chess, Indian Grandmaster R. Pragnananda secured an impressive victory over Frenchman Ali Reza to claim the joint lead after the 7th round of the Sunkerfield Cup. With his second victory after a string of draws, Pragnananda joined Fabiano Caruana of the United States at the top of the table with 4.5 points. With Pragnananda and Caruana in front, Levon Aronian and Wesley now share the third spot on 4 points apiece. On the other hand, Pragnananda's compatriot D. Gukesh was outplayed by America's Wesley. After his 7th round loss, Gukesh has moved down to the 9th place in overall standings. In soccer, Neymar will miss Brazil's final 2 World Cup qualifiers against Chile and Bolivia next week, extending his absence from international duty to nearly 2 years. Coach Carlo Ancelotti left Neymar out of his 23-man squad, citing a minor leg muscle injury sustained last week as the reason for his last omission. The former Barcelona striker has not donned the famous yellow jersey since October 2023, when he suffered serious knee ligament injuries. The squad features a blend of established stars alongside emerging talents as Brazil look to end their qualifying campaign on a high note.
Neymar had a small problem last week, but we don't need to test Neymar. Everyone knows Neymar, the coaching staff, the national team, Brazilian fans know Neymar. Like everyone else, Neymar needs to be in a good physical condition to help the national team perform well in the World Cup.
Updates from the US Open now. American Francis Tiafoe launched his latest bid to end the American men's drought at the US Open with a confident victory over Japan's Yoshihito Nishioka. The twice semi-finalist joins 4th seed Taylor Fritz and 6th seed Ben Shelton in the second round as they aim to become the first American man to lift the US Open trophy in 22 years. 12th seed Casper Ruud cruised his way into round 2. Ruud registered straight sets victory against Austria's Sebastian by 6-1, 6-2, 7-6. Spanish second seed and 2022 champion Carlos Alcaraz made light work of Relio Pilca. Alcaraz defeated the American by 6-4, 7-5, 6-4 to advance to the second round. In women's singles, Mexico's Renata Zaragoza pulled off a stunning upset, sending 6th seed Madison Keys out of the US Open. Keys finally claimed her maiden major at the Australian Open this year, but produced 89 unforced errors in the first match of the day as she became the highest seed in the tournament to fall in a 6-7, 7-6, 7-5 defeat. Twice Wimbledon champion Petra Kvitova bade an emotional farewell to professional tennis after her first round defeat to French woman Diana Perry. Well, 7,000 singers, one song and a tribute to the legend. In Assam's Hauli, 7,000 singers performed the timeless classic Manohe Manohar of Bhupenda as a tribute to his legacy. As the state gets ready to celebrate the life and times of Bharat Ratna Bhupen Hazarika on his 100th birth anniversary on the 8th of September, people are contributing in their own ways. Bhupen Hazarika was the singer and former member of Assam Legislative Assembly. And that's all for this edition of DD India News Hour, but do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download it right now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Deepika, and from all of us here in New Delhi, thank you so much for watching DD India News Hour. Namaskar.